in today's video, I'm going to be showing us how to make a basic skirt. This is actually a high-waisted basic skirt. So the measurement we are going to be working with today is waist 32, hip 40, length 40. So, and this is, I'm actually going to be joining this skirt to a half body. This is going to be a dress. So I just want to show you guys how to create a long skirt, because the skirt is going to be as long as the floor length. So the first thing you want to do is to take the hip measurement. The hip is 40. We have hip 40. You are going to plus 2 inches to your hip, and that is 42. And you are going to divide that measurement by 2, and 42 divided by 2, I have 22 inches. So the wideness of my pattern is 22 inches. So the distance between here, 21 inches, I'm sorry. 42 divided by 2, I have 21. So the distance between here and here, I have 21 inches. So, and I went ahead also to divide that into 2 equal half. So distance between here and here is 21 inches, and I divided it into 2 equal half so I can have my front and my back skirt drafted at the same time. And the length of my skirt is as long as 40 inches, and I have 2 inches for hemming allowance. So the next thing you want to do now, after bringing out the wideness of your pattern and separating your pattern between your front and your back, so the 2 inches which I added is for ease to your hip measurement. So the first thing that you want to do here is to bring out your hip level. So the hip level I'm going to be using for this pattern today is 9 inches, because it's a high-waisted skirt. I'm going to be joining it because the customer is not even curvy, she's less curvy. So I'm going to be joining this skirt to a half bodies. So I'm going to come over here and I'll mark 9 inches. So I'll come over here as well to mark 9 inches. So this 9 inches is my hip level, which some of you also known as hip length. So the distance from my waist to this place is 9, which I'm going to be ruling out as my hip level. Let me use marker so that it can be clearer enough for you guys to see. So this is my marker, also very faint anyway. So then I'll go ahead to label this part hip level. Hip level. Good. So now the next thing you want to do now is to start imputing your measurement. Basic skirt is very simple. So after bringing out your wideness, you find your hip level, is to start imputing your measurement. So first thing, I'll come to my waist. My waist measurement is, the waist measurement we are working with today is 32 inches, and we are going to be taking quarter of that measurement. So quarter of 32 is 8, and remember we always add that to our waist, and I'm going to be leaving 1 inch for the dart. Good. So then I'll come over to the back as well. I'll do the same thing. I'm measuring from this other side. So I'm going to mark 8 inch for the waist, and I'm adding 1 inch for seam for that. This is the waist measurement, quarter of the waist, and this is that. This is the waist and this is that. So, and remember we already brought out this wideness of this pattern with our hip measurement, so you don't need to put any measurement in your hips anymore. So I'm just going to take my curve ruler. I'm going to see if my very curve will be able to give me the nice curve that I need between my hips and my waist. So I'm going to connect that like so. Good. So I'll come over to the other side and I'll do the same thing. I'll connect here and here. Now good. So the next thing you are going to do after connecting your waist measurement to your hip measurement, you are going to go over to the hem of your skirt, and because you know it's going to be a pencil skirt and this is going to be a really long skirt, and there's going to be a slit at the back of this skirt, so I'm going to go over to the hem of my skirt and I'll take away 2 inches from the hem of my skirt, because this is a long skirt, is a floor length skirt. So I'm going to be taking away 2 inches from the hem of my skirt. So now here's the hem of my skirt. So I'll come over to the hem of my skirt and I'm going to take away 2 inches. So I'll take 2 inches away. I'll do the same thing for the other side of my skirt. I'm also going to be taking away 2 inches. So now I'm going to take my long ruler all the way from that side and I'm going to connect it to my hem with the 2 inches which I previously minus from that part. So I'm going to be connecting it with a straight ruler. So here's the 2 inches, and that is my hip level, and I'm going to be taking a straight ruler to connect from here all the way to meet this 2 inches mark. So the next thing you want to do is to come over here to the top of your skirt. You want to go up by 0.5 inches at the side seam. I want to go up by 0.5 inch at the front. I want to do the same thing at the back, 0.5 inch. Then I'll take my curved ruler and I'm going to connect that back to my center. So I hope you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to take my curve. Let's see if this curve can do it for us. Yeah, perfect. So I'm going to take my curved ruler so I can connect it back. So I'll do the same thing here. I'll take my curved ruler and I'm going to connect it back down to the center front skirt. So I'll take a ruler and I'll connect that. So this is a very important process, guys. This is very important. This helps your skirt to sit properly along your waist, especially now that this is going to be high-waisted skirt. So this step is very, very important. It helps your skirt. So I'm going to be showing us your dart length. So the bust span of you are going to use your customer or your client or yourself, or the bust span. So that's the distance between one nipple to another nipple. So bust span of this client is 4 inches, which is 8 inches. Bust span is 8, so you divide that by 2. I have 4. So I'm going to be using a bust span for a dart width. So I'm going to add 0.5 inch to that. So instead of marking 4 inches, I'm going to be marking 4.5 inch. So on that 4.5 inch, and I'm going to be taking 0.5 inch on both sides. Remember, we actually left 1 inch for that allowance. So distance between here and here is 4.5, and I'm taking 0.5 on both sides to make up for the 1 inch that I left. So my front skirt is going to be 4 inches long. So for my back skirt, I'm just going to go up 2 inches away from my hip level. That is how long my back skirt is going to, my back dart is going to be. So I'm going to measure from the center back into my skirt 4.5 inch. So I'm going to be taking away 0.5 on both sides. So then I'll rule a straight line on that. So now I can connect my dart. So remember, for the back dart, I went up by 2 inches from the hip level. So for the front dart is 4 inches long. Good. So now on my dart, I'm going to be going up by 0.5 inch over there. On my dart here, I'm going to take a 0.5 inch over there. So, and I'm going to connect. So I can do this. I can also use my tracing wheel to connect it out. So let me just connect like so. So I can know that there's a dart in my pattern, in my skirt pattern. So now that we have ruled out our dart, I think that the next thing you need to do is to come over here and create your zip allowance. So I'm just going to be using this measurement that is left here as my zip allowance. This is 2 inches. So this is my center front skirt. This is my center front. Don't forget, center front, center back, cut on fold. So this is fold, So I'm just going to do these markings here so that I can know that this part should be cut on a fold. And I'm going to put in my grain lines as well. So that is very, very important. Your grain line is very, very important. So I'm going to put in my grain line on my skirt. So don't always forget your grain lines on your pattern. Okay, now we're done with making our skirt, and I hope this tutorial is going to be able to help you to create a long basic skirt. This is a pencil skirt. Like I said in the beginning of this tutorial, I'm actually going to be adding this skirt to a half bodice. I'm actually drafting this skirt pattern for a client, which I'm going to be adding to a half bodice. Is going to be a dress. So in my next video, I'm going to be showing us how I'm going to alter this pattern, especially the back. I'm going to use it to create the design that I want to create for the client that I'm going to be making this skirt for. But I'm sure after watching this video, you are going to be able to draft a perfect pattern for your basic skirt. And here is the top of our skirt. So I'm going to be cutting this out right now, so I'll show you guys. That's my hip level, my grain line, my center back skirt, and my center front skirt. So the front is going to be cut on fold. So guys, here's the finished look of the skirt which we just drafted. So that is my front skirt, and you see this is the dart which we removed from the center piece in between the front and the back skirt, and this is the back skirt. So in my next class, I'm going to be showing you guys how I'm going to alter this pattern. I'm going to be making this skirt for a client, and it's going to be a high-waisted skirt because I'm going to be joining it to a upper bodice. So I'll see you guys in my next video. So I can take this out now. No longer useful. And here's my back and here's my front. So I'm going to put my grain line here. Perfect.